Hi everyone, so Season 23 brings a lot of updates to the game, especially the new follower system. So in case you haven't seen it, you can wear up to 14 items on your follower now, and some of those items will actually count as kind of being cubed for yourself with the new emanate system. And that means that with Nemesis Bracers being part of that, every single build in the game will have Nemesis Bracers and will spawn elite packs from those pilots when you click one. There's almost no other bracers that really make sense to put on your follower, the only other one being strong arm bracers, and only when you are willing to give up the flavor of time, which you would also usually want to wear on your follower. So typically it's gonna be flavor plus nemesis on your follower, and that means you have extremely strong pilots, you have double the duration, and you spawn packs all the time. So a long-standing problem with Nemesis Bracers has been that certain builds, especially ranged builds with projectiles, tend to one-shot themselves from spinners. So when you click a pylon with a Nemesis Bracer equipped, you always spawn this Act 2 fallen dude, and he has a variety of different minions. I don't know exactly, like 4 or 5 different types, and one of those are those spinners. And when they whirl around, they will reflect projectiles that shoot at them. To regular hardcore players, this is extremely important and known, so probably almost everyone who plays hardcore regularly has seen themselves or someone in their group get one-shot by this. And also on softcore, this has been an issue with certain builds, depending on the meta, of course, in 4-man, but also in solo. At least in the past, you had the option to avoid those packs when you're playing solo by just not using Nemesis Bracers, for example, or by running away or whatever, and typically you only use Nemesis Bracers in speedruns anyway when you're not pushing 4-man. And when you blast through your GR 100 in 2 minutes, you'll probably one-shot those guys anyway before they even do anything, so you wouldn't really notice most of the time. And worst case, you would probably have your cheat death passive to save you at least for 1 hit, but this is not really the case when you're pushing. So now these guys will survive for 5 minutes or something. They will keep spinning, they will keep reflecting projectiles, and it will be really messy and essentially kill your run quite easily. The same effect happens from sand dwellers, so they also have this kind of reflect shield where projectiles will be turned back towards you. And the reason why this all is so dangerous is because it reflects the true damage that you deal. So you deal like billions and trillions of damage, and your toughness is something like 100 million to 2 billion or so. So obviously you overkill yourself like 10,000 times over or something. There's absolutely no way to survive this, even in cases where you do proc, for example, on the wizard or on the barb, where you have a limited damage reduction or shield, you can essentially just proc and immediately die afterwards. So long story short, I believe that this has to be changed in the future. This is going to be extremely frustrating for a lot of people playing around with the new follower system. Maybe most people were not really aware of this, but it is going to cause a lot of distress and a lot of frustration for people in the future. While on the other hand, I also like that it adds a little bit of like a skill element, especially to 4-man, where you want to be careful about those guys. Typically, it's just destroying the run, and you have to leave when something like that happens and you can't kill them in time, or you just try to get lucky to not get hit by those projectiles. My solution to keep this in the game while making it a bit easier to deal with would be to have it work similar to reflect damage from elite packs, so that essentially it has a fixed damage value and it's not calculated off your damage done, but it does, let's say, the same damage as a reflect damage projectile, because the reflect damage affix actually suffered from a similar issue in the past. Players were dealing heavy amounts of damage and essentially one-shotting themselves whenever they encountered reflect, and now it's a fixed value that does a certain amount of damage. And I believe that the spinners and the sand dwellers could be changed to a similar system where it deals X amount of damage, and then you have that amount of toughness and you actually have a chance to survive a reflected projectile. Depending on the build, this would not solve all the issues here, but at least it would have a chance, and it would probably make it a bit more interesting. Instead of just running away as fast as you can, you could actually try to fight these guys. You'd still have the downside that you actually don't deal damage to them while they reflect, but it wouldn't immediately kill the run for you. So I don't really believe that for season 23 this is gonna happen, but I believe that especially now with essentially everyone having Nemesis Bracers, it will be a much more prominent problem. And I think that at least after season 23 we might see a fix here. For now I can just say that be careful, especially on hardcore. Be aware of those guys and be aware of how your build deals damage. So some builds simply don't reflect anything. Obviously this will not cause any problem for you, but there are a lot of projectile builds and those will have a lot of trouble. Just one of those things to be mindful about, and hopefully a suggestion to the devs to maybe have a look at this in the future at least. And that's what I wanted to share for now. So hope you liked my little video. I'll see you guys next time.